Matchmaking is a lot like a magic trick. When you don't know how it's done, your brain wants to fill in the gaps to explain how it works. And many will want to believe in magic, because a magical reason that perfectly sums up how you're feeling is extremely convenient. Matchmaking is just like magic in that the reality is that it's oftentimes much more simple and more disappointing than you might expect. And once you know what to look for, the magic just sort of disappears. I say this because I actually don't think the matchmaking is that bad. Most games are winnable. It's just that if you don't understand how to identify the problem and what the trick is to winning, it's going to all look like it's rigged against you. And for me, I have an easier time identifying the problem and understanding why I lost, so I don't see those losses as out of my control. My videos have always been trying to help you know what to look for. Because when you know what to look for, you're a lot less frustrated and you know what went wrong and how to do better the next time. That is a key part of game design, is making sure the player understands why they messed up and how they can do better. And there is strategy to these games, and winning doesn't always look like the MVP screen. Most people look at the scoreboard in order to measure value, but hitting tab in the middle of the game doesn't tell you what's really happening. In order to identify a problem, you need to be aware of what's happening in-game and why it's happening and at the moment that it happens. And the scoreboard after the fact won't tell you these things. It's why game sense is so important when it comes to ranking up. I think it's important we talk about matchmaking because of how it impacts our mental state in the game. It shouldn't be a surprise that if you're in a clear headspace that you'll play better. If you believe the game is rigged from the start, you'll be less likely to identify and look for the problems in the game, and oftentimes more likely to give up. You're starting first by assuming the game is out of your control, which is a dangerous mentality to have, and it's also a dangerous mentality to push upon other players. I've seen people have massive drops in ranks only to assume that the game must be somehow rigged against them. And while I could make a fresh account and go unranked and climb with it in order to prove that it's possible, that's already been done by plenty of other creators. And believe it or not, many also seem to believe that we as content creators somehow get special treatment and that the game just automatically pushes us up faster, which of course is just not the case. Instead, my moderator Shaggy decided to solo queue himself from gold all the way up to Grandmaster on his own, and doing so just on the things that I've taught him. All to prove that it's how you play that matters, and if you understand the game, you will climb. And he did this all from his home computer. And for those who don't know, I've known Shaggy for 20 years now. I taught him how to play Overwatch back when he was a silver player. I taught him how to reach Masters in Overwatch, and now with the same lessons I teach him here in Rivals, he was able to go all the way up to Celestial. I also want to add, while he was doing this personal challenge for himself, I never coached or VOD reviewed a single one of his games. There's some important things about his climb that he wanted to note though. He never insta-locked a hero. He filled in after everyone else picked a hero, which oftentimes meant playing tank. He never flamed his teammates for any mistakes. He used comms strictly for in-game strategy. Anytime he felt frustrated, he hopped off. And most of the games were hard-fought wins. Lower elo games were easier to carry when a singular member was underperforming. Anytime he had games going to the next rank, he said it was oftentimes a mixed bag of skill. This also means that people on the verge of D-ranking would often tilt. It took him 7.5 hours to go from Gold to Diamond 1, and it took him another 7.5 hours to go from Diamond 1 to Grandmaster 3. The closer he got to his skill level, the harder it got for him to carry. Since he is a Celestial 3 peak, struggling in Grandmaster is in line with his experience. The moment you start to get closer to your peak, you will begin to lose more games. You can't always keep winning. If you're struggling, that means you really need to think about what you're lacking in your gameplay and how you can improve. Ranking up is not supposed to be easy, and even games in lower elos are hard fought. And I want you to remember, nothing about the heroes changes as you climb through the game. The only thing that changes is the speed at which the game is played. A top 500 player on Psylocke and a gold player on Psylocke are both playing the same hero. It's just about understanding how to minimize your mistakes and maximize your impact. The higher you climb, the fewer mistakes you can make and the fewer mistakes your opponents will make. You need to adapt not just to your rank, but your enemy's team comp and their playstyle. Also, I've heard a lot of people say that when it comes to playing that they need to do everything for their team in order to carry. And that is true. In order to climb and carry, you need to do more than just your job. You need to perform above and beyond the average of your rank. Shaggy also didn't have a straight line from gold to Grandmaster. There were win streaks, loss streaks, checkerboarding. It wasn't perfect. The point is that if you are consistent over time, you will climb. Something else to remember is that the lower you are in elo, the more performance SR makes it easier for you to rank up. Another factor that everyone needs to take into consideration is luck. While we can do our best to practice and set ourselves up for success, luck is just a factor of life. Sometimes you get people who let you play your main role, but it will always be a factor at the same time. People oversimplify Rivals. They tend to think of it as a less serious game, and so they never bother to learn all the nuance and layers that the game has. Most tend to assume that aim matters more than using your head, but strategy will take you a lot farther than aim alone. Players will look at damage and final hits post-match, even though that doesn't matter as much as you'd think. Even the MVP system misleads people by rewarding these things. Hero shooters are about objectives, space, and resource management. I taught Shaggy how to spot these things, so I know whether he plays with or without me, eventually he will climb. Something else I want to point out is that I have seen him tilt Q in the past. Taking a break absolutely does affect your mental. The majority of the games I lose are not because matchmaking, but purely because players give up too soon. Hopping off after losses isn't a sign that the game is rigged. It's a sign that you don't play well when you're not focused. This season, I also want to add that I hit Eternity again after 31 games. I won each rank up match, I lost a few here and there, and I went straight from Celestial 2 to Eternity in one night. There were no forced losses, no taking breaks, just flexing for my team, giving good comms, and focusing on the win condition. Because when you learn to spot the win condition of each game, the matchmaking no longer feels rigged against you. That's what I try to do with my videos and streams. Believing in EOMM or Magic is convenient and absolves you of any responsibility. But if you spend some time learning the game, not only will you win more, but you'll also be less frustrated and have more fun playing. The matchmaking for ranked is not that bad. The games aren't rigged against you, you just haven't quite learned how to spot the win condition yet. But luckily, I have videos to help you with that. And much like magic tricks, oftentimes the secret is someone just needs to tell you what you're missing. This is the benefit of things like VOD reviews and coaching, but it's also why I go into such incredible detail on my videos and tell you not just what I'm doing, but why I'm doing it. I want to show you how I think, not so you can think like me, but so you can get the gears turning and you can start thinking of your own ways to win. Start thinking of your own creative ways and skill expression in which you can express that in the game. And do so with the heroes you have in your hero pool. And the sooner we can get the community to jump on board and realize that the games are in our control, the more fun we're going to have in all of our games and the more we're all going to rank up. I'm making this video because one of the biggest problems I see in the Rivals community is just that they give up too easily, and they don't take the game as seriously. And I think it's really important that we push back against this narrative that the matchmaking is somehow rigged against people, because good players regardless will always find a way to climb. And I know that there's going to be some games out there that are really tough, but in order to climb, it does mean that you need to win some of those games. In order to prove you deserve the rank that you do, you have to win the really difficult games and not just the easy ones. I hope this video has helped give you a more positive outlook on the matchmaking. And if you're watching this and you're a longtime viewer of mine, and you have found success in my videos, could you write in the comments down below the rank that you were when you first started watching my videos and the rank that you are now? Just to help illustrate to people that sometimes all they're missing is just information, and hopefully help people see and realize how much more control they have over their games than they realize. Anyway, that's all I got for now, and as always, thank you again for watching.